Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to another update video on the channel. We certainly are in the last week of the transfer window now. Things starting to heat up a little bit, and thankfully we are seeing a little bit of news in regards to incomings as well as outgoings still. But the situation is changing so quickly, so make sure you follow us on all the socials at Talking Wolves everywhere to keep up to date with the latest Wolves transfer news and rumours. Today we'll kick off, we're talking about Angel Gomes. The Marseille midfielder, of course, a player that a lot of you will be familiar with. Started his career at Manchester United, spent a little bit of time at Lille in France as well, and even was part of the England setup, last making an appearance for England back end of 2024. But it's said that today Wolves have made, or at least looking into, signing Angel Gomes on loan before the deadline. For me, this is quite an exciting signing. I think, look, he's not in terms of he sort of drops back as his career has progressed in terms of position. You know, he started more as a forward and a wide player, dropped out to almost make a holding midfielder role his own, really, and quite a unique player because he's only small and slight. 5'6", I think he is, but very capable player, very tidy on the ball. And I actually think that with the way that Rob Edwards has been setting up, he could be sitting in the similar role to how Mane or Arias has been playing in recent weeks as well. Now, if you look at the timeline as well, Rob Edwards helped coach at the England under-20s and under-16 setup. I have no doubt that somewhere along the way, Gomes and Rob Edwards would have crossed paths in some capacity as well. So that may have something to do with it. But still seems to be quite early days on this news. So I'm trying to not get a little bit too overexcited on it, to be honest. So the news and the story initially came from Foot Mercato over in France. Been very quickly followed up today by some of the more reputable sources locally. Liam Keane, Sky Sports have been reporting on it, Ben Jacobs and so on. So the story from France is that Wolves are looking at a loan, the potential of an obligation to buy if Wolves were to stay in the Premier League, which we know is still very narrow at the moment. But it's interesting. Obviously, he's not getting much football at the moment in France at the moment. He could easily come to Wolves, get a lot of game time, try and impress Thomas Tuchel to maybe have a late shout at getting into the England setup for the World Cup. That will probably be his idea. However, nothing close, nothing agreed as of yet. Other teams interested, so it's quite hard not to maybe maybe manage our excitement a little bit. But this is interesting. This is sort of going back to what I was saying over the last couple of days as well in regards to players. Because Wolves at the moment aren't going to be the most attractive proposition. They're going to be waiting until later on in the window to see what options they are. And Wolves is almost going to be quite a late resort for some players. I have no doubt Angel Gomes is probably more reputable and maybe more attractive options for him. But ultimately, if he wants to be playing football, if he wants to be under the nose of Thomas Tuchel, this is an opportunity for him. So it may not happen overnight, but the next couple of days or so, this one may continue and hopefully will materialise, because I think it'd be a really solid option for Wolves. Would that mean another central midfielder could go? Possibly, but look, we've already lost Fer Lopez now. Marshall Monetti's already gone. Homegrown option. This one does make a lot of sense for Wolves. I'm quite excited to see if and when it does come to fruition. Quite interesting news in regards to the goalkeeper department at Wolves today as well. Probably the bigger piece of news is Jose Sarr in talks, well, not in talks at the moment, but Forest have opened talks at least with Wolves in regards to potentially signing Jose Sarr. Nottingham Forest making some really interesting signings at the moment. I'm not too sure what sort of route they're trying to go down, but apparently they are keen on Jose Sarr. Obviously, Marinakis and co, they'll be familiar with him. I think they've been linked with him before, but Marinakis would have known Jose Sarr from his time at Olympiacos, and apparently they have made contact with Wolves over the potential signing of Jose Sarr. So I think he's settled down a little bit since he's come back into the team. I actually think he's been okay under Rob Edwards. But it just seems the last 2 years or so, it almost seems like every window you're expecting, and you wouldn't be surprised to see Jose Sarr go. I think he's always left an exit from Wolves open. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But then on the flip side of that, Sam Johnstone as well, apparently being lined up by Tottenham. And Spurs potentially looking at Sam Johnstone to be the number 2 and the backup goalkeeper there. That one does come from Alan Nixon, so if I'm completely honest, probably a slightly less reputable source. But I know Alan Nixon was very hot on the whole Sam Johnstone news when he actually first joined Wolves. So I have no doubt he does have ties there. So those two are interesting. Could be an interesting last week in regards to the goalkeeper situation, because there are some decent goalkeepers on the loan market, I know, as well. So there is the opportunity for, if for whatever reason both of those go, there is an opportunity to maybe bring in another goalkeeper before the deadline. Jean-Luc Bellegarde as well, been linked with a move to Besiktas. I don't know why all these links are all of a sudden come in from the Turkish club at the moment, and I really don't understand why they would revisit and reopen negotiations with Wolves if we were so-called branded a joke club by one of the journalists over in Turkey over the last week or so. But yeah, Jean-Luc Bellegarde and Besiktas looking to potentially formalise an offer for him. They were linked sort of mid-December with Bellegarde, but because of his injury, it seemed unlikely that he would join them this month. But they may look to reignite that interest before the deadline. So maybe one to watch out for, of course. Back in training, likely to be back in the squad as well for Wolves. And a couple of different incoming news as well. Lassine Sinayoko, 26-year-old Malian forward, currently playing for Auxerre in France, potentially available for around £8 million this month. The Wolves have been credited with an interest alongside Coventry City and Middlesbrough as well. That came from Pete O'Rourke over at the Football Insider. And again, annoyingly, I actually think he'd be a good option, but I think I would take this one with a big pinch of salt, because he literally signed a new contract just 3 or 4 days ago in France. So not too sure what to make of that, whether they were just trying to, maybe the talk of this was before he signed the new deal, and the news has come through quite late. I don't know. But yeah, Sinayoko to Wolves would be an interesting option. Maybe one to look at in the summer. But as of right now, I would think this is probably unlikely between now and the end of the window, if I'm completely honest. And one player that we may well see, although it will probably be in the future, and I know a few people are a little bit frustrated when this news came out this morning, but Wolves are reportedly set to complete the signing of the Bromley under-18s forward, Dapo Anolopo, currently playing for the 18s at the League 2 side. Another player that I have no doubt will join up with the under-18s or under-21s at Wolves if this move does come to fruition. But guys, I believe that is all for today's news. And like I said earlier, it's going a little bit crazy right now. As I talk right now, I'm going to see if there's any other pieces of news that have popped up in the last 10 minutes or so. And I think we are safe for now. But yeah, we'll keep you updated as much as I can. As always, hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let me know your thoughts on some of the pieces of news that we've discussed today. But until next time, guys, I'll see you on the next one.